Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 2. Before we get into it, make sure that you are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so that you know whenever I post. And also, get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about the episodes. So, we're going to start off. Well, the episode starts off with we see Dani and Nicole. They're in Nicole's office and they're waiting to get their blood drawn. So they're talking and they're talking about how Nicole tells Dani that she had talked to Ted about Kat and what's going on, and she's hoping that Ted would get through to Kat to take the test the if Nicole has the BRCA gene. And Ted, not Ted, Dani is hoping that Ted got through to her, and she wants to know, did you know what did Ted say? And Ted hasn't reached out to her because Ted didn't get through, so he has nothing to say, honestly. So Dani also tells Nicole that she had reached out to Bill about what it was and about what's going on and needing his help to tell the girls. And she's like, do you think less of me? Sorry. Do you think less of me that, I reached out to my ex or whatever, or something like to that effect? And Nicole was just like, well, no, Nicole had asked Dani, do you think, why would, basically saying, do you think less of me for reaching out to my ex? And Dani was just like, no, I don't, because I reached out to my ex. So I can't, I can't be a hypocrite and say something to you about doing what I did, basically. And, they talk about how they're leaning on their exes, and it's like, that's um that's their go-to, because they were with their exes for so long, and their exes are the father of their children or whatever. um what else happens? Oh yeah, Nicole had told Dani that she ended up in Ted's arms, and it was just like, girl, why you even say it like that? That's not how, I mean, you did end up in his arms, but ma'am, of course, the drama of it all. So she basically lets her know that she cried into his arms, and that's how they ended up in his arms or whatever. And so again, that's when they start talking about them leaning on their exes. So then they continue to talk about Kat and how they hope that Kat will change her mind if they do find out that Nicole has the BRCA gene. They hope that Kat will have come to her senses or whatever to want to take the test or whatever. So they finally get their blood drawn because everything was backed up. Shanice is the one who comes to draw their blood. So they get their blood taken, and now it's a waiting game. So then we see and Andre. Ted and Andre are at the club, and Ted is looking at some pictures for a promo shoot or a video that Andre did for Ted's business or whatever. And then they start to talk about the Anita of it all, and how Ted went to see Nicole, and he wants to be there for her and the kids and all this other stuff. And then Andre is commending him, but then also at the same time it's just like, I'm commending you, but I'm pissed that Dani is going to Bill and all this other stuff. And Ted was just talking about he's happy that Dani found Andre, or that that she's with Andre, because of how toxic Bill was. And they were like, the family was waiting on her to figure it out and change her mind about Bill, and like not want to be with Bill anymore. So he basically tells Andre, you need to make sure that Bill knows his place, and if he doesn't know his place, you need to make sure you let him know his place or whatever. And basically sorry. Basically Ted is telling Andre to basically let Bill know that he's not going anywhere, and he needs to remember that. And it's like, okay, Ted. But again, Ted, you are a cheater pumpkin eater, but you weren't a cheater pumpkin eater like Bill was. So if there's any credit to give to that, I guess you could get credit for that. But yeah, okay, sir. So we see Kat and she's at home, she's hung over, and somebody's knocking at the door and she's just like, go away. And again, as a Kat fan, I wish he would go away too. But it's Tomas and he's there with some green drink, some hungover drink for her or whatever. So he gives her the drink, talks to her, he talks to her about the brackaging of it all, and she's just like, oh, how did you know? And he was just like, Bill mentioned it, and she's just like, why would Bill be mentioning anything about my family? And then they start to talk about that, and he's a little hurt that she didn't tell him about it. And she explains her reasons for why she didn't tell him or whatever. And she was just like, she handles these things on her own, like she's used to handling this stuff on her own and she needs time to handle it. And he's just like, okay. And it's just like, sir, like, y'all are a fresh couple, y'all haven't even been dating for a year, and you haven't shown her to be a trustworthy person for her to be able to confide in you and stuff like that. You're over here pressuring her into moving in with you at this moment, like not at this moment, but within the last couple of months, like in the last month, you've been pressuring her to move in with you. So now you're acting like, oh, you're supposed to be able to talk to me about stuff like this and all this other stuff. And it's just like, sir, you cheated on her with her sister. I'm not talking to you about nothing. But I digress. I mean, she's still with him, so girl, I guess. But yeah, so she tells him that she needs more time to think about this on her own. And he's just like, he's low key gets upset and is just like, okay, have your time. And then he leaves her or whatever. So let's see. So he leaves her and he goes to the gym, well, the country club, and he runs into not Andre. He runs into Jacob, and he's telling Jacob how he doesn't want to speak out of turn. He doesn't want to speak out of turn on about Kat, but she's not handling this well. And I'm just like, sir, you've been speaking out of term about this girl since y'all first started dating. You was talking mad ish about her to her sister. So why now all of a sudden you don't want to speak ill of her? Like, is we cool? Well, we know you not cool, but anyways. So they talk. It wasn't a real long talk, but they talk about, I guess, being there for the Dupree woman that they're with, because all the Dupree women are strong. They're strong-headed. So we see Chelsea. She comes to the hospital. She wants to talk to Madison, and she wants to get some information about the BRCA gene and triple breast cancer and all this other stuff. And they discuss how Madison was up the night before looking up stuff about it, and Chelsea loves that she's being proactive and being there for her, and just being like a proactive partner or whatever. So they discuss how Madison, the reason why Madison like fell out with her mom, and it's because her aunt had breast cancer, and instead of listening to the doctors and everybody else, her aunt listened to her mom, Madison's mom, and focused on the herbal remedies and not the science of it all, and she ended up passing away. So that's a reason why Madison like doesn't have a good relationship with her mom or whatever. So I do like that we got that tidbit about Allison, because it does make a lot of sense. Like, because initially when we first found out that Madison had an issue with her mom, and it was just because she downplays her job, and it's just like, yeah, I can understand why you would be mad about that, but not to the point where I'm not talking to my mom no more just because she downplays my job. But at the same time, the fact that, yeah, I'm a doctor and my aunt, maybe even your sister, has the big C, and instead of her doing chemo and doing all the things that maybe could have extended her life. She didn't do any of that because you basically told her to ignore it. Yeah, I would feel some type of way about that, especially if that was like an aunt of mine's that I was really, really close with. I mean, if it was an aunt, even if it wasn't an aunt that I was close with, just an aunt, period, because that's a family member I didn't have to lose. So I can understand why, So that I like that we got that insight on her. Um, let's see. So Matt, what is it? Oh, we see. Oh wait, no. So sorry. So after Madison leaves because she has to go back to work. Naomi texts all her cousins. Martin, not her. She texts her family, the kids. So Martin, Naomi, and Kat, and she says she wants to have a cousins meetup or whatever. So before we get there, we do see Naomi and Jacob at Orphe Jeans, Naomi's office. So they're at Orphe Jeans and they really wasn't talking about much. But they talk about Anita and Jacob hates that she's going through this and he wished that he was with her when she found out about it. And he tells her that he's going to be there for her. She talks about how she wants to she talks about what the cancer is going to do to her healthy grandma. She doesn't like that, and she's talking about how she wants to take off of work so that she can be there for her grandma. And Jacob was just like, now, first of all, now what work you been doing? Because I ain't seen you with no clients, but whatever. But no, he tells her now, Anita is not going to go for that, so please stop. So as they're sitting and talking, they see Leslie and Malone, and they're flirting at the what's it called? What do they call them? It's not the bar, but at the counter. Lord, I'm losing my mind. But they're flirting at the counter, and Jacob and Naomi are wondering what they're talking about. Leslie walks away, and Jacob comes back to goes to Malone and was just like, what's that all about? And he's just like, mind your business, youngin, mind your business. And Leslie comes back in because she had forgot something, and she's just like, this could have been you, and walks off. And it was just like, girl, what? You are no, she's not okay. So before that, we do see Shanice is at the nurse's counter and she's daydreaming about Ted and their kiss that they had the night before. And Leslie pops up, or she didn't pop up, but she took her out of her daydream because she was there trying to get her attention. So she was trying to give her back the points and yetas that she had gave to what's her mama name? Leslie's mama name. I can't even think of what her Peaches. Because Shanice had gave Peaches the poinsettias, and because they were fake, because they couldn't have real flowers at the hospital. So Leslie was returning them or whatever, and she was just like, you better not be dreaming about my Teddy and all this other stuff. And girl, I need Leslie to be so for real. Like, so for real. That man has told you, I don't know how many ways and how many times, that he does not want you, and you are still acting as if that is yours to claim. So anyway, so she decides to go. Leslie is just like, well, I'm gonna go find my Teddy. And Shanice was just like, yeah, hate to burst your bubble, but he ain't gonna be there. And she was just like, how do you know? You stalking my man? And she was just like, coming from one stalker? No, he decided to share that information with me. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got work to do, and walked off. I was just like, oh Lord. Finally, somebody made her, you know. So then this is when we see because she couldn't find Ted, she goes and meets with Malone, and they go to Orphe Jeans to meet up together, and they basically talk. I don't know what they talked about, because it really wasn't about, they really weren't talking about nothing, just being all flirty with each other or whatever. So they decide to go back to her room, and then, they make out, and then they sleep together. So after they're done sleeping together, she asked him, like, how was she compared to his wife? And he was just like, you're a jackrabbit compared to the whatever, just like, making, like, giving her props for how good she is in bed. And she's just like, yeah, I don't know what's up with you guys, and being with these uppity women who can't get it on in the bedroom, basically talking about Nicole and his wife. And it's just like, man, why, first of all, why are you comparing yourself to another woman? Like, you real life only. And I understand where Eva gets it from, because you real life act like your worth is only in your poo poo. Like, why is that why is that, first of all, why is that what we talking about right after we done had sex? Why are we talking about his wife? And you really don't feel bad about sleeping with a married, like, well, we know she doesn't feel bad because she slept with Ted and she stole Peach's man. So you really can't find you a man that ain't taken? Like, you have to be with the man that's taken? Is that like, that's what we're on? Like, I need her, like, I need her to want better for herself. Like, I really need her to want better for herself. But yeah, so um so we get to, let's see, what happens next? And I do apologize. What happens next? I cannot think of what happens next. My fault, y'all. I am so sorry. Let me see, what happens next. Oh, we see, this is when we see, what's it called, what do we see next? um what do we see next? Oh, Chelsea and the family, they are, I'm trying to find a picture of them, but Chelsea, Naomi, and Kat meet up. And yeah, Chelsea, Naomi, and Kat, they meet up, and they talk about what's going on. And Kat doesn't want to know if she has the gene. She doesn't want to know anything about it. She's like, basically, like, I'm tired of hearing about gene therapy and the BRCA gene and all this other stuff. So her and Chelsea start arguing about it or whatever, because Martin couldn't come because he said he had a meeting or whatever. So Martin wasn't there. But we see Chelsea, yeah, so Chelsea and what's her name? Chelsea and Kat, they're arguing about arguing about the BRCA gene and getting tested when they need to get tested. And Naomi isn't saying anything; she's just sitting there or whatever. So Kat gives her take, Chelsea gives her take, and then they ask Naomi, and Naomi was just like, "I have no words," basically. And it's just like, girl, you always have words about something. Say something. Like, can we say something? But whatever. So we see, what else happens? Oh, we see Shanice and Ted, they're at the hospital and they're flirting with each other. And Shanice tells Ted, go talk to Nicole because she could use a friend. So Ted goes to Nicole, and he's and Shanice and Ted, they make a little date to meet in the cafeteria for dinner or whatever. So he goes to see Nicole, and he just checks on her, lets her know that he's gonna be there for her and all this other stuff. And she is just like, "Do I hear your stomach grumbling?" And he's just like, "Yeah, I was just talking to Shanice about food." So she gives him one of the snacks that she had gave Nicole. I mean, that she had gave Ted. that she had gave Dani because Dani didn't eat because she had to draw blood. So she thought she had to fast. So she had gave her one of the snacks that Ted likes that she keeps in her drawer, and Dani was making fun of it. So Nicole gave that to Ted or whatever, or to Ted or whatever, and they smile at each other. And then we see Dani going home to Andre, and Andre is there ready with food for her because he was just like, you didn't eat. I know you didn't eat, so I know you're hungry. And so he's just like, I'm here to take care of you. So he takes off her band-aid, gives her a kiss, and he was just like, before you eat, I do have something, I want us to do, something. And she was just like, ooh, we gonna have you're gonna, help me relax. And he was just like, no. You need to take a nap because you didn't sleep the night before, so you need to take a nap. I was just like, Dani is a mess. These two are a mess, but I love them. So he takes her upstairs and he puts her in the bed, and she curls up into him and they go to sleep. And then he wakes up and puts a blanket on her, and he's just like, I'm always going to be there for you, always. And that's how it ends. And I was just like, oh, I love them together. They're so cute. So we all know what that means. Something about to happen. But that was episode 2. That was season 2 episode 2. So I hope I'm just at a loss for words because I'm just thinking about Dani and Andre because, again, I love them. They're so cute. But yes, so make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on that post notification so you'll know whenever I post a video. And again, get down in them comments. Let's talk about it. What did you feel about this episode? How y'all feeling about Kat? Because I've been seeing on Twitter, y'all weren't feeling her before, but this is just taking it up a notch. And I need to know how y'all feeling about this. Yeah, let me know what y'all think. I'll see you guys in the next one.